There are connections that awaken something ancient within us, a sensation beyond words, beyond time, a glance that feels like the echo of a forgotten dream, a voice that stirs something in the marrow of our being, a touch that feels less like contact and more like remembrance. In these sacred moments we are convinced this surely is destiny. And yet, not all who feel destined are meant to stay. Sometimes the universe, in its silent and mysterious wisdom, speaks to us through dreams, through synchronicities, through the subtle tremblings of the soul, warning us that the bond we cherish may not be aligned with our deeper path. Carl Jung, the great weaver of the unconscious and the soul's journey, taught us that the unseen realms shape our connections more than we dare to know. Fate, destiny, unconscious longing, all are stitched into the fabric of our relationships. In this sacred reflection we will explore, if you're not destined to be together, the universe will warn you through these signs. Prepare to enter a space of deep inner seeing, where truth whispers not to the mind, but to the quiet ache of the heart. If your soul has ever touched a bond that felt ancient yet fleeting, comment below with the words, "I trust the path meant for me." Let us begin. There are meetings in life that cannot be explained by chance alone. A magnetic pull toward a stranger, an effortless knowing in the gaze of another, a heartbeat that quickens not from fear but from ancient recognition. In these moments it feels as if the universe has conspired across eons, aligning stars, shifting tides, guiding two souls to collide. The touch of a hand, the brush of a voice, it all feels impossibly familiar, as if we are not meeting for the first time, but remembering something already written long ago. Carl Jung spoke of the anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine energies that live within us all, seeking not merely external companionship, but internal wholeness. When we meet another who awakens these energies, it feels like home, like the missing piece we have searched for across lifetimes. But here is the sacred truth the soul knows. Often, it is not the other we truly love. It is the reflection they awaken, the hidden parts of ourselves that cry out for union. The universe, wise and compassionate, weaves these powerful illusions not to deceive us, but to call us inward, toward self-recognition, toward the sacred task of individuation, becoming the whole that we were always meant to be. Yet when a connection is not aligned with our highest becoming, subtle fractures appear. The initial euphoria gives way to a quiet disquiet, a whisper of discomfort behind the laughter. Dreams once filled with comfort now carry undercurrents of sorrow. Synchronicities that once sparked wonder now feel hollow, unfinished. These are not punishments, they are invitations, sacred signals that the bond, however beautiful, is not the path to your soul's deepest flowering. The soul knows what the mind fears to admit. Even as we cling to the illusion of destiny, the deeper self begins to stir, whispering, "Not every ancient memory is meant to become a future." And so we stand at the threshold between longing and truth, invited to listen, not to the noise of desire, but to the soft, persistent pulse of our becoming. This is the first whisper of warning, a sacred call to awaken, a reminder that true destiny does not bind us in longing. It frees us in love. The universe does not shout. It does not demand our attention with noise and thunder. It whispers. Through a secret alphabet woven into the fabric of our days, symbols, patterns, accidents that seem trivial until they are not. Carl Jung called this mysterious conversation synchronicity, meaningful coincidences without a causal connection, events that mirror the soul's hidden movements. When two souls are not meant to walk side by side, the universe, in its infinite tenderness, begins to weave a subtle tapestry of separation. At first, it feels like the small inconveniences of life, plans that dissolve into silence, messages that never reach their destination, misunderstandings that cannot be explained by words alone. There is no dramatic rupture, no obvious betrayal, only the slow, sacred disintegration of a bond that the soul cannot sustain. You may find yourself reaching out only to find absence. You may hear promises made, yet watch them vanish like mist in the rising sun. You may feel, with no words to name it, a growing chasm that neither love nor willpower can bridge. These are not accidents. They are the secret language of the cosmos, gently and insistently guiding you away from what no longer serves your soul's true unfolding. The unconscious, with all its deep wells of longing and unmet needs, projects onto others what it most desires. We see not who the other truly is, but who we hope they might become. And so we cling, even as the universe, loving and unrelenting, places soft barriers in our path, not to punish but to protect. The divine choreography of separation begins long before the mind understands it. in missed trains, in cancelled plans, in emotional silences that weigh heavier than any spoken word. The question is not whether these signs exist, they do. The question is, are we willing to listen, to read the sacred alphabet written into our everyday lives, to trust that every closed door, every unanswered call is the hand of destiny, quietly, compassionately redirecting our steps? It requires surrender, it requires humility, and above all, it requires the courage to admit that love, even when deeply felt, is not always synonymous with destiny. The soul speaks through dreams, through instincts, through the delicate web of synchronicities that surround us, each thread pulling us gently away from what dims our light and toward what will make us whole. In learning this sacred language, we do not lose love. We find a deeper, purer form of it, a love that honors truth, alignment, and the silent music of the soul's becoming. But when life begins to rearrange itself without your permission, when the winds change and the familiar becomes unfamiliar, pause, listen. The universe is not closing doors to punish you. It is closing doors to save you, to bring you closer to the love that was always yours to claim. Not all suffering in love is a mistake. Some of it is a summons. When the sweetness of connection curdles into pain, when the one who once felt like a home becomes the architect of our wounds, something deeper than mere circumstance is at play. It is here that the shadow begins to dance. Carl Jung taught us that the shadow, the unseen, unclaimed aspects of ourselves, longs to be known. It stirs beneath the surface, shaping our attractions, our fears, our desperate needs. We do not fall only for who they are, we fall for what they awaken within us. We see in their eyes the reflection of a forgotten self, a self yearning to be reclaimed. But when a bond is not aligned with the true path of the soul, love becomes tangled with old wounds. Suddenly, what once felt effortless begins to burn. Jealousy flares without warning. Abandonment terror curls around simple goodbyes. Anger erupts over trivial slights, but the pain feels ancient, far older than this moment, as if the soul is grieving something far beyond the reach of reason. Arguments surface like storms over still waters, and even in the midst of apology and embrace, something remains unsettled, a restless cry from within. This is not a failure of love. It is the unconscious pleading for recognition. In these moments of rawness, when every word feels sharper than it should, when every silence feels like a betrayal, the shadow is reaching out, not to destroy, but to be seen. The unconscious does not demand reconciliation with another. It demands integration within the self. And so, the suffering is not random cruelty, but sacred crucible. Here, amidst the ashes of disillusionment and ache, the possibility of awakening is born. If we are willing to look inward, to hold the mirror not to the other, but to our own forgotten wounds, we begin to reclaim the scattered pieces of our wholeness. We cease blaming, we cease clinging, and instead we listen to the wounded child, to the abandoned self, to the silent parts of our soul that have long waited for our return. Pain becomes not the end of love, but the beginning of healing. It is here in the tender ruins that we first remember. True love, the kind that endures beyond illusion, must be built not on projection, but on the fierce, sacred truth of who we truly are. There is a sorrow that weighs heavier than grief itself, a sorrow that presses against the bones, quiet and ancient. It is the sorrow of knowing that a soul we once believed essential to our destiny must now be released. This knowing does not arrive with anger, nor always with blame. It comes like a tide in the night, slow and undeniable, washing away the footprints of the future we once imagined. Letting go feels like betrayal, but it is not. It is the highest act of love, a love that has evolved beyond possession, a love that sees the soul's becoming as greater than the comfort of familiar arms. The universe, in its deep, unyielding wisdom, sometimes pries open our grasp, not to punish us, not to wound us, but to free us, because there are dreams that are too small for the soul we are meant to become. There are relationships that serve their sacred purpose and no more. To cling beyond that is not loyalty to love, but to illusion. Carl Jung spoke of individuation, the holy pilgrimage to the self. It is not a path paved with only light and ease. It demands sacrifice, the sacrifice of illusions, of false selves, of borrowed dreams that were never truly ours. And so in sacred separation, the real alchemy begins. We mourn not only the beloved face, the familiar voice, we mourn the pieces of ourselves we had draped upon them, the fantasies, the projections, the pieces of our identity we wove together like fragile cloth, believing it would last forever. Letting go then is not simply about releasing the other. It is about retrieving ourselves, the parts of us that we abandoned for love, the silent needs we thought another could fulfill, the unlived dreams we handed to someone else to carry. As we grieve, we also gather. We gather the scattered fragments of our soul. We reclaim the gold that was hidden inside the loss. The wound, raw, aching, unrelenting, becomes the womb, a dark, fertile space from which rebirth begins. It is here, in the tender aftermath of separation, that the real work of transformation occurs. We sit with the emptiness, we listen to the echoes. We bless what was beautiful, even as we release it, and we allow the ancient intelligence of life itself to guide us forward. There is no shame in sorrow. There is no weakness in letting go. There is only the sacred pulse of becoming, a becoming that was written into the fabric of your soul long before you ever met them. Honor the grief, honor the gratitude, honor the hidden gold, for it is through the alchemy of sacred separation that the soul remembers its own wholeness once more. And in time, when you turn inward with open hands and an open heart, you will see nothing was ever truly lost, only transformed. After the storms have passed, after the last echoes of goodbye have faded into the soft earth, there is a stillness that descends. It is not the silence of despair, nor the emptiness of something missing. It is the quiet of sacred ground, newly tilled, awaiting new life. We stand before ourselves, raw, humbled, luminous, no longer clothed in borrowed dreams, no longer reaching outward with trembling hands. We are returned to the simple, aching miracle of our own existence. The loss of a destined illusion is not the end, it is the threshold, the place where the soul steps forward, alone but not lonely, ready to claim what was always hidden beneath the surface. The true marriage, Jung whispered across time, is not between two external souls alone, but within the sanctuary of the self, the union of the conscious and unconscious, the sacred masculine and sacred feminine woven together in a living, breathing tapestry. When we lose what we once clung to, we are offered the chance to meet the hidden parts of ourselves we abandoned, the fierce protector, the nurturing dreamer, the intuitive mystic, the grounded warrior. Piece by piece, we gather these lost fragments. Piece by piece, we become whole. Here, synchronicity returns, but it no longer points outward. It is no longer a desperate search for signs that someone else is the one. It is a gentle guiding hand from the soul, a whisper that says, "This is your path. Walk it in trust." We begin to notice how life conspires not to fulfill our illusions, but to awaken our deeper purpose. A song on the radio that stirs a forgotten passion, a book that falls open to a page speaking directly to the silent ache inside, a stranger's smile reminding us that we are never truly alone. These are no longer random accidents. They are the soul's compass quietly humming beneath our skin, pointing us not toward another, but inward. We no longer seek a missing piece outside ourselves. We no longer place the heavy burden of our happiness on another's shoulders. We become the love. We become the home. We become the wholeness we once believed could only be found in someone else's eyes. The sacred dance of anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine, begins to harmonize. Not perfectly, not without effort, but with a deep, abiding grace. The part of us that longs to create is embraced by the part of us that knows how to protect. The part of us that dreams without limits is balanced by the part that builds steady foundations. And from this holy union within, new life begins. In the end, the universe does not take love from us. It does not steal away our destiny. It returns us, tenderly, insistently, to ourselves, to the sacred sovereign being that existed before the wound, before the longing, before the forgetting. You are not what was left behind. You are what remains. You are what is reborn. And now, with the wholeness of your soul singing quietly beneath your ribs, you are ready to walk forward, not in search of completion, but as the living embodiment of it. There is a destiny that calls us, not to certain people, but to certain awakenings. The soul's true journey is not paved with certainty. It is woven with mystery, with lessons that come wrapped in flesh and laughter and heartbreak. Some souls cross our path as teachers, offering wisdom cloaked in both tenderness and trial. Others arrive as mirrors, reflecting back the brilliance, the wounds, and the forgotten dreams we have carried for lifetimes. And some come as pure catalysts, setting fire to the stagnant places inside us so that something new, something luminous can rise from the ashes. Few people are meant to stay forever, but everyone you meet is meant to shape you somehow. Some people come into your life like light, others arrive like storms, and even if they don't stay, they leave something behind, a lesson, a memory, a change inside you that you can't ignore. When we grieve what we hoped would last, when we hold on to the people who touched us deeply, we often forget they were not the final destination. They were the way through. They were the doorway. They opened something in you, a part you hadn't touched yet, They helped you love more, let go sooner, listen deeper to the quiet voice inside. They were never meant to complete you. They were meant to reveal more of you. And now, here you are, in the space between what was and what will be, in the middle of change, in the unknown. This space might feel uncomfortable, empty, scary. But this is where true life begins. Not in the comfort of what you've known, but in the quiet courage to keep walking forward. The unknown doesn't ask you to be perfect. It only asks that you stay open, that you keep your heart soft enough to believe again, to try again, to trust that even the things that broke you can lead you somewhere new. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not who someone else thinks you should be, not even who you thought you had to become to keep someone's love, but the real you, free, honest, and whole. And sometimes it takes heartbreak to get there. It takes walking away from what you once thought was your future to finally stand in your truth." The soul doesn't make mistakes. The universe doesn't waste a single tear, a single goodbye, a single moment of pain. Everything you've lived through, every connection, every goodbye, every moment you thought you wouldn't survive has helped shape you. It's been the fire that brought your true self forward. Not to destroy you, but to make you stronger, softer, wiser, more alive. So now, dear soul, trust. Trust the love you gave wasn't a waste. Trust that the dreams you had still matter. Trust that life is still guiding you, even when it doesn't feel that way. You are not lost. You're being led. Even if you can't see the next step clearly, you are not walking alone. You are being gently pulled forward toward a version of you that's more honest, more grounded, more whole. And in that unknown space where old plans fall away and new ones haven't yet arrived, you will meet yourself again. Not the version shaped by fear, not the version shaped by someone else's love, but the real you, the you that was always there, waiting to be seen. This is not the end. This is the beginning. A new chapter, a new path, a new way of being in the world. So if these words stirred something in you, if your soul feels the quiet recognition of truth, I invite you gently to affirm in the comments below, "I trust the sacred unknown." Whisper it like a prayer. Let it echo in the chambers of your heart. And know that you do not walk this path alone. We are all walking each other home, one sacred step at a time. Let us continue forward together, with tenderness, with courage, and with the fierce grace of becoming.